left for political reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just come from a meeting where 8 members of the Security Council were able to meet with UN officials and humanitarian non-governmental organizations about the situation in Sri Lanka. We've discussed, first of all, the crisis inside the so-called no-fire zone in the far northeast of the country and the situation in the IDP camps. The reports that we've had would be shocking to anyone who had not followed this conflict over the last few months. The situation in the so-called no-fire zone is appalling in its humanitarian distress. It involves up to 50,000 people, according to some NGO estimates, even 100,000 according to some other groups, crammed into an area of some 3 square kilometers, smaller than Central Park. There is no question that civilian life is being lost on a large scale. The rise in violence over the weekend has claimed hundreds of civilian lives. We have also heard reports from credible and serious organizations who choose their words carefully that there has been the use of heavy artillery into the northeast of the country and affecting civilians in the so-called no-fire zone. We are determined to follow this up with the Sri Lankan authorities as a matter of the utmost urgency, since it goes directly contrary to the commitments that were made to Foreign Minister Kouchner and I when we were in Sri Lanka. In respect of the situation in the IDP camps, this remains a major concern. There is enormous strain on the civilians in the IDP camps. There is insufficient access either by humanitarian organizations or by the UN. We were also told about the continuing denial of visas and of other permits for access around the country. We believe that access is absolutely vital for the UN and NGOs, but also for journalists, if there is to be proper witness to the situation that afflicts the civilians in this country. It's also important to say that there is no doubt in anyone's mind that the LTTE are preventing civilians from leaving the no-fire zone, consistent with their own murderous behavior in the past. I think it's also important that I say, on behalf of myself and the 3 European colleagues on the Security Council, that we have no doubt at all that the situation, the humanitarian situation in Sri Lanka is something that the Security Council should address. I'm going to invite my 2 colleagues to say a few words, and then we're happy to take some questions.
Just to add what David Miliband said, I think we all are shocked about the news we have heard today from the NGOs and from OCHA. I think from the Austrian point of view, we are very much concerned about this situation today. And I just would like to announce 3 points. First of all, I think we should ask the government of Sri Lanka just to protect their people, because it's an obligation in the framework of United Nations. They have to protect the life of their people, and they have to try to get them out from the fire soon. Just the second point is, I think we have to concentrate in this moment to the situation in the camps. As we have heard, this is really a shocking situation, and we should ask the government of Sri Lanka just to let in the camps independent monitors, just to find out what's going on really in these camps. And thirdly, I think we all have to have a look to the future. What could be the political solution? And I think we should draw the attention also to this point of view, because it will not end with a military action. We have to think about the situation afterwards.
Yes, we went there with David, and really this is impossible to support. So what is the issue? What is the additional asset we can give to the civilian population? Et laissez-moi vous le dire en français maintenant, puisque I support all what has been said by my 2 colleagues. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire? Est-ce que l'opinion publique va réagir ou non? Nous, de notre côté, les 3 ministres, et je suis sûr, les 27 ministres de l'Union européenne, nous allons demander à nos collègues ici de faire quelque chose de politiquement fort. Et je pense que nous devons essayer d'attirer l'attention du Conseil de sécurité et peut-être à ce niveau d'avoir une réaction. Pour le reste, David, he said very clearly the 5 points, and the 6 points was demining. We were ready to help the people there and to help the Sri Lanka's government and the people to demine. Access to this upper part for UN agencies, for NGOs with projects, giving food, giving medical supplies. Yes, we were in agreement with the president itself, Rajapakse. But so what now? Are we waiting, all of us, to the end of the bombing, to the end of any life, not only suffering, but any life in this pocket, a siege pocket? I'm calling you, because you are our friends, to drive the attention of the international community to this part of the world. Thank you very much.
Now, just picking up on that question, are you going to try and force this onto the agenda of the UN Security Council, or remind countries they have a responsibility to protect?
We are ready to talk to our colleagues, and there is a special place right now to address them and to tell them what we have seen and what we are suffering of doing nothing against. Yes.
Basically, can you explain us what are the reasons of those who are against any Security Council actions? Who are they and what are they saying?
I think that's something that you'll have to address to others. I think the three of us can speak for ourselves. Others can speak for themselves. We are clear that this is an issue that the UN Security Council should address. It involves major civilian loss of life and distress. It does have ramifications for the region, and it involves the word of a member of the United Nations not to use heavy weaponry in the pursuit of its goals to suppress a terrorist organization. Those are fundamental issues that we as European members of the Security Council do believe belongs here.
We heard this morning from Minister Miliband about the issue of the IMF loan and whether it's a good idea to disperse that loan under the current circumstances. Perhaps Minister Kouchner and His Excellency from Austria could comment on this, whether it's expedient at this moment to allow that money to go to Sri Lanka.
Yes, we know about this problem, we know. And we want also to address the public opinion, but of course the people in charge of the International Monetary Fund to consider the situation. Do we have any other way, escape way? And please, sir, don't believe that we are not aware about the whole story, sad story of the 26 years of war and the role of the LTTA. Don't believe that. But we are shocked, more than shocked. We cannot support the way now in this particular place the people are suffering and dying.
Can we have a question, please, regarding the issue that's... sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just to finish, I really would like to underline what Bernard Kouchner said. I think he's very right. It's a very sad story, and we have to continue in talking with our colleagues very soon.
Let's invite our lady.
Thank you very much. Can we have a question regarding the meeting today? The quartet is...
Not at the moment, no. We're just talking about Sri Lanka at the moment, so we'll come back to you later.
On the EU on Sri Lanka, there's this tariff treatment of textiles from Sri Lanka called GSP+, which ran out in December and is supposed to be subject to some kind of a human rights investigation. Do the three of you, are you aware of that? What other leverage, if you can't get a council meeting, do you have to try to stop the killing of civilians in Sri Lanka?
Well, I think that Sri Lanka does not want to isolate itself from the international community. The fact that Sri Lanka is dependent in part on trade with the European Union is obviously significant, and the fact that it wants preferential trade treatment with the European Union is obviously significant. At every stage, Europe's responsibilities are to uphold European values as well as to advance the economic interest, and that's why the human rights aspects of the discussion are being taken so seriously by the European Commission at this stage.
Yes, and Benita Ferrero-Waldner was in charge of it. She went to Sri Lanka several times.
On a l'impression, en vous écoutant, que on touche les limites du Conseil de sécurité. Alors, comment pourrait-on faire pour qu'il soit un peu plus efficace? C'est terrible ce que vous dites.
Oui, madame, c'est terrible ce que je dis et c'est terrible ce dont il souffre. Oui. Vous avez raison, mais on ne va pas aborder le problème politique du Conseil de sécurité tout de suite. Il y a vraiment une urgence. Il y a d'autres urgences de par le monde, madame. Et à chaque fois, nous sommes quelques-uns à nous indigner. Peut-être que l'indignation est un début de réforme, je ne sais pas.
Let's just have a last question about the Middle East from our friend here, and
Thank you again, Mr. Minister. Thank you again. Just my question is actually about the quartet demanding of the Palestinian side that any new government must adhere to previous commitments. Are you ready to demand the same thing from the Israeli side, given that there is a government that does not want to commit to a two-state solution?
well, I think that the European position on this has been made successively clear in successive European foreign ministers and successive heads of government reports. I think since the Times are here, the Times of London, it would be very unfair not to allow the Times to ask a question.
Of course, yes, because we wrote an article in your paper.
In reaction to King Abdullah's warning there might be a war in 12 to 18 months if there's no progress on peace, is that a warning to be taken seriously? How do you view that?
I'm not sure if my friend Bernard-Kouchner has read the Times yet, but in the Times
I did, sir.
today...
But, no, not today.
No, in the Times of
This is
today,
the only day I will
it's
not reading
worth advertising to a wider audience that King Abdullah of Jordan has done an important interview in the Times today, available from all good news agents at $1.50, I think, and online.
He said 47 nations, yes,
I think there is a very serious point which both Bernard Kouchner and Michael Spindelegger and myself addressed in this debate this morning, and that is that debate has moved from simply a solution between two states to a debate about the whole regional stability of the Middle East, 23 states, 22 Arab states, the Palestinians and the government and Israel. And I think that the drive by King Abdullah of Jordan to ensure that the whole world understands the significance of the Arab Peace Initiative and to place it, in the words of Ambassador Rice today, to be integrated into the US approach, I think is very significant. And his demand for urgency is one that was reflected in all of our contributions.
No, but even if I didn't read the Times today, I'm in agreement.
A question about Lebanon, please. About Lebanon. Next month there is the parliamentary elections in Lebanon, and the United Kingdom is having dealings with Hezbollah, but the United States does not recommend this. Can you please tell us about your prospect of this negotiations with Hezbollah? What do you want from the Lebanese elections?
There are no negotiations between the United Kingdom and Hezbollah. We are very clear that Hezbollah must abide by Resolution 1701. And we have said that we would meet Hezbollah MPs. As it happens, no meetings have taken place recently and will not take place because Hezbollah wants to have photos of those meetings and to contribute them to the election campaign. And we are certainly not going to be part of anyone's election campaign in Lebanon. We think it's vital that that election proceeds without the fear of violence and that parties commit themselves to the democratic integrity and the constitutional structure of Lebanon. Okay, we have a lunch chaired by our colleague Mr. Lavrov. You want the last word in French or not?
J'aime beaucoup l'Union européenne lorsqu'elle est représentée par trois personnes qui se penchent sur le sort des pauvres Sri-Lankais et des Tamouls qui sont bloqués. J'aime cette union. Et j'aime aussi que les 27, en effet, prennent leurs responsabilités. Mais nous ne sommes pas seuls au monde et nous devons convaincre. Mais cette visite d'un ministre des Affaires étrangères anglais et d'un ministre des Affaires étrangères français, la prochaine phrase sera accompagnée par un ministre des Affaires autrichien.
Okay. Thank you.
Merci.